Hello to all, this is Amardeep Singh, and today we are going to discuss some basic programs using while loop in Python. First, we'll discuss about write code to print all values within a given range. So in this program, you have to get two values from user. One is the starting value and second one is end value, and you have to print all the values within that range. So first we'll declare a variable and get value from user. A equals to int input enter start value. Then after that we'll get end value equal to int input enter and value where you want to end the loop. So now we want to run a loop starting from an initial point to end point. So this one is the initialization statement from where. So that means the starting point will decide is the initial point of a loop, and the ending point is the end of the loop. So we'll start a loop using while a less than equals to b semicolon, then print the value of a. We will print the value of a, and in updation statement we have to increase the value of a plus equals to 1. So say this loop 1 while and run this one. Into the start value, let's suppose I want to start from 10 and end to 20. Then now you can see the loop starting point of loop is 10 and end point is 20, and the loop variable is incrementing by 1. So that is all about first program. To write code to calculate sum of all values starting from 1 to n. So that means here the initial point is fixed and end point is a variable, and we have to calculate the sum of all values starting from 1 to the given value. So let's start with this program. So I'll delete the previous code. Enter a number, then starting point of loop will be 1. So that means I'll declare a variable manually I equal to 1 while I less than or equals to the value of a. Then inside the loop I have to calculate the sum of all the values within that given range. So I have to give s equal to 1. I have to declare a variable by assigning 0. So s equals to s plus the value of I. Then to increase the value of I as updation statement, you have to write I equal to I plus 1, and after the completion of loop, outside the loop you have to print the value of S. Print sum equals to S. Save it. Now I want to print the sum of values starting from 1 to 5. So I'll give the end value, and 1 plus 2 plus 3 plus 4 plus 5. The answer must be 15. So that's all about the program. So here we are having the code, or we can uh, calculate sum of all the values starting from 1 to given value. And next, third program, write a program to calculate sum of all even values starting from 1 to n. In previous program we calculate all the values starting from 1 to n, and in this program we have to calculate the sum of only even values starting from 1 to n. So let's start how we can uh, calculate sum of all even values starting from 1 to n. So only we have to check, uh, we have to run this line only if the value of I is even. So that means before executing this line you have to check if the value of I is even or odd. So only we have to check if the value of I is even. If I percentage 2 equals to 0, that means you have to check the remainder, and the remainder of if the remainder after dividing I by 2, if the remainder is 0, that means that number is completely divisible and that number is even. So we will run this code, and you have to uh, place this updation statement outside the if statement. So you have to remove one tab space from here, save it, and run the code. Enter number. I'll enter 5. That means the even numbers within this range are 2 and 4. That means the answer should be 6. So that is the answer. So that is all about the program, how to calculate sum of even values within a given range. Next we'll discuss write a program to print a table of a given number in formatted order. So that means you have to get a value from user to print the table. So now we are going to use this to calculate and print the table of a given number, and we'll get into a number. So A is the number of which you want to print the table. Now start, we have to generate value starting from 1 to 10. I'll store 1 in I, then while I less than or equal to 10. So that means we have to generate values starting from 1 to 10 and multiply the value of I with A and generate the result. Then n equals to A into I. Then now we have to print in formatted order, then print inside double quotes percentage %d into percentage d equals to percentage d, and first first occurrence of d will be replaced by the number input by user, so that is percentage a. Then we have to print the value of I. Then as a result we have to print the value of n. This line should be inside the loop because we have to print all the intermediate results also. Then print F5. Then after that, let's suppose I want to print the table of 4, then enter 4 and press. So here we are having infinite loop because we didn't specify updation statement. So if you will run into this situation, this infinite loop situation, then you have to stop this loop by pressing Control C. Control C statement is used to break the infinite loop. Then now we will correct that logical error, that bug I plus equals to 1. Now I'll print the table of 4. Then now here we are having the result. So that is all about how we can print table of a given number in a formatted order. Always you have to remember and keep one thing in mind, that you have to manually write updation statement. But in case of for loop, updation by 1, increment by 1 was the default updation, but in case of while loop there is not any default updation statement, so you have to write each and every updation statement manually. Next program we'll discuss write a program to print table of given number n starting from a to b. That means in previous table we start from 1 and end that table at 10th, multiply by 10. But in this case we have to get starting and end value from user, so enter a number of which you want to print the table, that is a. Then we have to get start value from user, that is int input, enter start value, then next equal to int input, enter end value, then we have to start a loop from x. So that means the initial value of loop will be x and loop will end at y. So here we have to write x and in here also. So accept these changes, where you should not there is no need to write anything else. Save it and press F5 to run the code. Now first of all you have to enter the number of which you want to print the table, that is 6. I want to print the table of 6. Then start value, from where you want to start. I want to start from 5 and end at 10. So that means the table will print starting from 6 into 5 and end at 6 into 10. Okay, we have to change this statement also. because the presently loop variable is x. Table of 8 starting from 5 to 10. Now you can see that this one is the result. 8 into 5 and 8 into 10, that is the result. Next we'll discuss about write code to print factorial of a given number. As we discussed in previous sessions that factorial of given number means, for example, factorial of 4 is 4 into 3 into 2 into 1. That means that is the factorial. So starting from that number, that means we have to get a number from user, and starting from that number to 1 we have to generate all the values and calculate and perform multiplication on all the values. So first of all we have to get a value from user in n equal to int input into a number. Then next we have to start a loop from value of n. That means while n is the initial value, n greater than equals to 1 colon. So if you will print like that, print the value of n minus equal to 1. First we have to check if we are able to print value starting from that given number to 1. So run that code. If I will enter 5, then the result should be 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Now next we have to multiply to perform calculation. To calculate the factorial we have to perform multiplication. So we have to declare a variable f equal to 1. Then after that f equal to f into the value of n, and we need final result at the end only. So we have to print the result outside the loop. So you have to remove the indentation space. Print factorial of percentage d is equal to percentage d. So if you want to print like that, factorial of which number, that number is n, and the result is in f. But in this case we are using n as a loop variable. So at the end the value of n will be 0 after the completion of loop. So let me show you first. If I want to print the factorial of 4, then the factorial will be and factorial of 0 is 24. That means the factorial is correct, but that number the value of that number is presently 0 because we are using n as a loop variable, and after decrement, after the completion of loop, the value of n will be 0. So we have to store the value of n before starting the loop in a temporary variable. I'll use t equal to n. So I'll print here the value of t. So now try to run this one. 4 factorial of 4 is 24. So that is all about all these programs. If you people are having still any doubt related to any of these programs,